Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome yet again to another episode of Dinner Guide. I am your host, Chef Andy, and today we are going to be making a very simple dish, something that you can actually serve as a starter to your guests. We're going to be making a quiche Lorraine. So without further ado, I'll introduce you to the ingredients on my right. So from the far right, I've got some grated cheddar cheese, I've got some red chopped onion and some 3 broken eggs, split eggs. I've got some salt, some black pepper, I've got some olives there, I've got some Parmesan cheese. In the pot here I have some milk, and I have some cream here in the tall glass, some olive oil, and some beautiful rindless bacon. So we're going to take a short commercial break, and when we come back, I'm going to show you how to transform this beautiful ingredient into something you'll be able to do yourselves at home. See you after the short break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just tuning in, we are making a beautiful dish today. We'll be making a quiche Lorraine. Remember, as I mentioned, this is something really beautiful you can actually serve to your guests as a starter. You can be able to serve this as a snack before dinner, and it really makes a difference to your dinner course. So without further ado, I'm just going to start by showing you how to make the filling. And just to take you to this side of the kitchen, as you can see, we've got a nice beautiful casing that's going in there. We've got some pastry cooking. This is going to be ready in about another 3 or 4 minutes, so we're just going to take it out, allow it to cool, and all this mixture is going to go straight into it. Right, so I'll start by getting my pan here going. So as I mentioned, we're making a quiche Lorraine, a very traditional dish, a very beautiful dish. So this is basically an egg it's actually an egg mixture that we're going to be mixing some cheese into it. We're gonna give it a twist by using a bit of some black olives, and then we're basically going to be baking this in the casing that's in the oven. So we're gonna half cook that, pull it out, put the filling in, and then it's just gonna go in and set, and then it's ready to serve. So very simple dish. And this is actually something you could actually serve as a breakfast item, so it just doesn't work only for dinner. You can serve it as a lunch, you can serve it as a breakfast. Right, so now my pan is nice and hot. Right, so we're going to first start off by grilling our bacon. So for that, I am going to need some olive oil. Going to drizzle just a little bit around the sides. Remember, this is bacon, it's already very fatty, so you don't want to add too much oil. And then what you do is you want to swirl your pan around a few times. Make sure you've got as much oil covering the surface of your pan before anything goes into it. So simple as that. All we're going to do now is transfer our bacon to our pan. I'm just going to go one slice at a time. Right, so remember, for the bacon, you do get 2 different options in the country. You do get rindless bacon and you do get back bacon. The 2 are very much workable for this dish, but I always recommend, if you're looking at getting quality, you do have to spend a little more. But if you're just trying to be convenient, you can always go with your cheapest option. And for those, especially for those my Muslim brothers and sisters, for those of you that can't be consuming any pork products, you can actually substitute the bacon for some beef bacon. It will give you just the same dish, although we can't call it a quiche Lorraine either. Right, so we're just going to allow those to grill for about another 2 minutes. And I'm just going to keep flipping them around just to make sure we get an even color. Right, so this is running at low heat, medium to low heat. Now we're just going to take this beautiful casing out of the oven. We're going to allow it a few minutes to sit outside, and once the filling is ready, we're just going to go and put it back in the oven and allow it to cook and set. I'm just going to take that out. Right, nice and beautiful. So we're just going to set that aside and allow that to cool. And in the meantime, I'm just going to preheat my oven again. So we'll be cooking this at about 160 to 180 degrees. And all you're looking for is a perfect browning at the top, and it's actually going to puff up. That's exactly when you know your eggs are now readily cooked and your dish is ready to serve. So I'm just going to toss those around. We're going to allow that to continue grilling on the side. In the meantime, I'm going to show you how to make the filling for your quiche. So I'm going to start with 3 whole eggs. Then to that I'm going to add about 2 pinches of salt. And I'm going to add 1 pinch of black pepper. And all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to give that a quick whip. Right, so that's about okay. As soon as your albumen and your egg yolks have combined, your egg yolk and your egg whites have combined, that's about it. So to that I will add some olives, some black pitted olives. So these have just been chopped up, and I'll add just a little bit of Parmesan cheese, and we'll reserve the rest for later. And then I will add 1 whole chopped onion. You can go with red or white, it doesn't really matter. Then we're gonna add just half of the grated red Holland cheese that we have here. So I'm just going to go with about half of that. Right, so the bacon's now nice and crispy. It's looking nice and dark, so these are about ready now. I'm just going to turn off my heat, and I will allow those to sit in the pan for about another 2 to 3 minutes, and then we take them out. Right, so in the bowl here, I'll just mix everything together with my whisk. So this is basically what's going to be going into the casing that we already have made from earlier. Right, so that's about nicely mixed through. And then to that, we're going to be adding about 4 to 5 tablespoons of whipping cream. About enough. And just to thin that down, we're gonna add about 1 tablespoon of milk. And all I'm going to do is use my whisk to combine everything together. Right, so our mixture is now ready to go in. We're gonna take a short commercial break, and when we come back, I'm going to elaborate the different technique of how to layer your quiche. And then we're just gonna leave that in the oven. We're gonna cook it, and then we're just gonna come back and plate it. So don't touch that dial, we'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. For those who are just tuning in, for those who missed the first segment of the show, we are doing a Quiche Lorraine today, and I'm just about to show you how the filling is done. So as you can see, I've got a nice beautiful casing here that's already cooked. So all we are going to do now is we're going to put the filling in there, and then we're going to let it sit in the oven for about 5 to 6 minutes just to set. And then we're going to take it straight out. So I recommend at this point in time, always have your oven hot and ready to go. Right. So I'll just give that one final mixture. And all we are going to do is pour that right in the center of the dish. And I'm just going to use my whisk to pull that out. Okay, so basically you wanna just serve just about enough to touch the top rim of your casing. Right, so we are going to be going with this first one, and all I'm going to do now is I'm just going to add our bacon. So I'm just going to cover the top of the dish with the bacon. Right, so spread them right around the top. Be sure to make sure it actually is on the eggy surface, because remember, when the egg comes up, everything's gonna sink to the bottom. So I always recommend that you have a small spoon, and all you do is just give that a soft press just to make sure they're just slightly under the surface of your quiche. And it's as simple as that. Right, so we're just going to dump this in the oven, and we're going to give it about 6 to 8 minutes. So as I mentioned earlier, both top and bottom element at between 160 to 180, and we're going to set it for 6 to 8 minutes. So it's just going to sit in the center, and we are going to set that at 8 minutes, and we're just going to give that some time to go. And in the meantime, I'm just going to show you a totally different technique of how to make the dish as well. So you can actually be able to portion this out without, so this is mostly for the people that are intolerant to gluten. So if for some reason you can't be able to make the same dish with the casing because it contains a bit of flour, there is another trick to do the same thing. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to be using this bowl in particular. And so basically this is just one of the many techniques. You can also do the quiche in the oven, but just without the pastry casing on the bottom. So to that, I'm just going to give this a quick mix. So I'm just going to add the rest of my cheese. So this is going to be a little more cheesy. It's going to have a bit more cheese content in it. Remember, it doesn't have any casing at the bottom. And once the cheese is melted and it combines with the cream, it gives it a really good stability. So I'm just going to mix that through. And now all we are going to do is pour all this into our ceramic oven-proof bowl. Right, so simple as that. Very, very quick recipe that you can be able to do in the nick of time. Right, so that's nice and set. I'm just going to use my whisk to level that out. Now all I'm going to do is take the remaining Parmesan cheese, and I'm just gonna spread that just over the surface. All right, and that's done. So basically we're just going to throw this in the oven as well. So we're gonna take a short commercial break, and when we come back, I'll be able to show you what the two different quiches look like. You'll be able to see it for yourself, and you'll be able to actually judge which one you like and which one you would want to make on your own. See you after the short break. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. If you're just tuning in, and if you just missed the beginning part of the show, we are just about to finish off. So we were working on a Quiche Lorraine today, and what the items that went into it, we had some red Holland cheddar cheese, we had some eggs, some Parmesan cheese, some onions, some salt and pepper. Very, very simple. The casing, as I mentioned to you earlier, it's just pastry. You can be able to buy puff pastry in your regular outlet, or you can find a recipe and try and do it on your own. Apart from that, that's as much as I could say about the dish. So now I'm just about to take this out, and we can get a better look and see what it looks like once it's fully set in the oven. So that is our quiche. So this is as simple as it is. As I mentioned earlier, it's a very simple dish that you can make in advance. This will keep really well in the fridge for 2 to 3 days, and it's only a matter of reheating when you want to serve. So just to finish this off, we're now going to transfer this to a plate, and I'll be using a slotted spoon for that, or rather flat spoon. All I'm going to do is slightly tilt my tray just to be able to get that spoon to go right underneath. And I always recommend, always give it a few shakes before lifting it completely, just to make sure it's eased off from the sides of your baking dish or your baking tray. This is well set, so we're just going to scoop this and move it onto our plate. Voila, simple as that, ladies and gentlemen. As you can see, very simple, very beautiful. This will easily do between 2 and 4 servings. You could serve that with some salad on the side. You could serve it on its own. It's really just one of those beautiful dishes you'd love to make for yourself at home, for your guests or for your family. So I'm just going to cut this open so that we can have a look and see what it looks like on the inside. So I'm using my thumb to hold the pastry together. Remember, it's still very delicate. I always recommend use at least both hands, use at least both hands so that you try and make sure not to break up this beautiful thing you've been working on for so many minutes. Right, so this we're just going to transfer to our plate here. Firstly, I'll just take off my mold, and this goes right on the side. So as you can see, very simple plating technique. You're open to try your own method as well. So as I had mentioned to you, to the viewers at home, to you guys, so many alterations can be done to this dish. It's only a matter of you being creative and putting that extra effort into it. So from my end, it's been a pleasure hosting the show for you guys today. I do hope you have a lovely night, and until the next episode, good night.